Okay, everybody. Welcome back to episode number 6 here in the Happy Space Prison. A lot of things have happened between the last two episodes, both in-game and out. I'm just going to briefly take a couple minutes to go over everything. First of all, I have finally got everything set back up to record in 1080p again. I didn't for a little while I was before and after I moved because internet issues just made it so it was really difficult to do that. And now I'm good. So this video should be the first video, and the rest of them will follow, that is in 1080p. And that makes me happy. I'm excited. HD is definitely better than SD. I also have been having some mic issues recently, and it took some time to tweak them a little bit. It might sound a little bit off for the moment. I'm working on getting a newer, better mic, like a higher quality mic. The one I have is fine. I've just had it for a while, and I want to get something a little more advanced. But let me know if there's anything off with that so that I can tweak it. But I spent several hours today getting that right. In game, I've taken probably about 20 cycles, I think, since the last we last ended. I just was getting some things cleaned up. There's a bunch of little things we need to do in the base that I don't really think need to be fully addressed in episodes. I just want to touch on them so you know where we're at. So first of all, we're almost done with Carnivore. We are at 396,200 out of 400,000. So this cycle will finish Carnivore. So while we're waiting for that to pop and we can see it, let's go through the things we've done. We're going to start right here. I put in a bottle filler, which provides water for our supercomputer, so our duplicates don't have to run all over to get it. When they need to refill the supercomputer, there will be a bottle of water right here. It takes a few seconds for it to refill after they take it because it's 200 kilograms, but the water is on demand. And if we follow the water line, that comes down here to this pump in our new water tank. So we have condensed everything down so that everything is stored neatly. I surrounded an airflow tile. I usually do that with water tanks because airflow tile can't get broken by water pressure. If water pressure builds up, you can have cracking in tiles. And while I'm not planning on pressurizing the water, sometimes things happen weird with gases on reloads and stuff, and I don't want to have any issues like that. So I just made one out of copper airflow tiles. And this is the current water we have. We don't have any water coming in, and we're only using it for the research right now. So it's plenty of water, but this is what we got. On top of that, I moved our deodorizers that were all over the place all into a line and put them along our main ventilation shaft so that we can clean out all the polluted oxygen that's in the base. A lot of it's still here, but that's because I have open polluted water down here, but it's slowly cleaning everything up, providing and adding to our oxygen pool. Polluted oxygen isn't a big deal. Duplicates can breathe it, but it holds germs, whereas the germs slowly die in oxygen. Well, they die in both, but they die faster in oxygen. But also it interferes with gas flows. So polluted oxygen and oxygen are the same weight. So polluted oxygen doesn't go up or down. It just kind of goes back and forth. Whereas the other gases want to work through. Sometimes when you have big pockets of it, it just makes it harder for other gases to make their way through. So getting rid of the polluted oxygen is a good idea to help with gas flow in your base and the surrounding area. Down here, I also added in a carbon skimmer, which is on a loop. So this is our first self-sustained system, technically. It requires us to provide it with sand because the water sieve needs sand to clean water. So the way this works is the carbon skimmer brings in carbon dioxide whenever it builds up and lands here. It actually, anytime it's in any of these tiles, if it's carbon dioxide, it will pull it in and it will combine the carbon dioxide with the water and clean it. And so it'll just delete the carbon dioxide, but it will pollute the water and polluted water will come out. So the polluted water comes out and then the water sieve cleans it and sends water back so it can just cycle. So the only inputs this needs is power and sand to keep this running. And then this will run forever, just cleaning any carbon dioxide you have. It's sort of the more advanced way to handle carbon dioxide other than using an algae terrarium, which burns up algae and isn't as fast or sustainable as this. I also down here have dug out to let all this polluted water that was all over this area collect into one pool, and I have a pump that is pumping it out. That pump is running the polluted water up to our base, and it goes through a bridge over here to this junction, which is a priority junction. So the priority works here when you have a double bridge like this set up this way. Whatever comes to the first bridge here has to go. So we have polluted water coming out of our bathroom. I do not want that blocking this up because the bathroom needs to work. So when there is polluted water coming through, you can see the flow here stops or slows. And so this goes first and then this. So this system will always clean the sewer lines of our bathroom out first, but then any excess polluted water can flow through. After that, the polluted water comes up here. There's another bridge, so polluted water will go over here first if there's room, which means this sieve, which works the same as the one below, will clean the water and uses sand again, and it'll drop out polluted dirt, and it will fill this line. So this line will feed clean water back into our bathroom. So now our bathroom is on a loop. It's using its own water, and the way that this works is that bathrooms and showers produce more water, more polluted water than the water they take in. So if we look at one of these for an example, we use 5 kilograms per use on this one. We output 5 kilograms per use. But on the toilets, we use 5 kilograms per use of water. We output 11.7 kilograms of polluted water. And in the showers, we pull in 1,000 grams of water and we put out 1,000 grams of polluted water. So these two are neutral, but this one almost more than double, or actually more than double by 1.7 kilograms. So 6.7 kilograms extra every time somebody uses the bathroom is produced. So that's enough to keep this line full, even if we don't have more polluted water coming in, and a little extra. So 6.7 kilograms per use times how many duplicates you have. That's how many extra reed fibers you need to dump out the extra polluted water so that you don't have to send it anywhere. We only need 2 there. I, however, have put in 6 here, plus another 10 here, and I think that the top here is 17. So it's a total of 33. If I had 37 here, 37 is how many you need to run constantly to empty a line completely. I just did 33 because it kind of fit. But that means this line from our polluted water tank is constantly running, dumping polluted water into reed fiber. We're just getting rid of that polluted water and making reed fiber. Reed fiber is much more useful to me at this point than polluted water. I will make sure I have some polluted water until I have a polluted water source, because I want to use it for coolant lines coming up pretty soon. But right now it's okay. Let's check in on that achievement, because I'm pretty sure that means we just got our Carnivore achievement, which is a good time. That means we're done with Carnivore and Locavore. Super Sustainable is the last limiting achievement we have. What I mean by that is any of these other achievements we can get at any time, and it doesn't prevent us from moving into any section of the game in any order. Super Sustainable, however, to get this, we need to generate power to 240,000 kilojoules without using coal, natural gas, petrol, or wood, which includes the wood and the peat burner, which means the only power we can use in the base game is manual generators and hydrogen generators. And while we could take our time doing this, we've already used 15,000 or generated 15,000 kilojoules of power using our manual generators. It would take a long time, and I don't want to wait around for it. So we're going to move in to getting that achievement done. We're going to do it in a way that makes sense so that we're not just burning off hydrogen to generate power. We're going to set up a oxygen system. So that's going to be the focus of today's episode. And I'm going to take some time just to lay out where I want to put it, and then we'll build it together, and I will show you all the ins and outs of how our oxygen system is going to work for this base. All right, I did a little bit of laying out things here just to have building space to work with and to give me an idea of what we're doing. I also put in a few more deodorizers on this side because there's just a couple pieces of polluted oxygen I want to try to clean up as we can. It'll just make it a lot easier in here once we're done. Up here at the top, it's really not going to matter. I'm going to vacuum that out eventually anyway, so that's fine. But at least this area is now clean. So, to get an idea of what we're doing here, we're switching from algae-based oxygen to water-based oxygen production. That's going to give us oxygen production and hydrogen production. And because we want a lot of hydrogen, I'm going to go with the Hydra system. So there's a couple of different ways you can make oxygen with water, and it all uses the electrolyzer. So let's just put one down over here so we can take a look at it so I can explain the things. An electrolyzer is a pretty simple device. You put in power, you put in water, you get out oxygen, hydrogen, heat, and that's it. It's pretty simple. Some of the details you want to know about the electrolyzer. I'm actually going to have them build this just so that I can see the building. The electrolyzer is, it uses up 1 kilogram of water per second. When that water comes in, it produces oxygen. So it will, the oxygen that comes out, if you look at the tooltip, it's going to come out at 70 C, or even hotter if you put in hotter water than 70 C. But if the water you're putting in is anything below 70 C, the output oxygen is going to be 70 C. So we have water here that's 24 degrees. We have water over here that's about 60 degrees. So this thing is pumping out steam at 110 degrees. It condenses down over time to become about 60 degrees. So if we're going to pump water into an electrolyzer, I don't want to pump in the cold water that's already cooled down. I want to pump in this water because otherwise we're just wasting heat deletion. Like this water if we put it in there, it's going to, not really deletion. This water is going to come out as oxygen that is 70 degrees. This water is also going to come out as oxygen at 70 degrees. And that's why we're building it here so we can take advantage of this. I don't have the data on this to know exactly how much water I'm going to get out of this yet until we get in there and research it or analyze it with our field research skills. But it doesn't matter. We're going to use that water. If we need more than what this can produce, we have another geyser up here that's producing hot water as well. And we can combine the two of them together after we clean the salt water and have even more water coming in. Or I'm sure there's more water on the map. It's a big map. We'll find more water sources. But for now, this will provide the water we need. So that's why I chose this spot for one reason. So now if we look at the electrolyzer, the other thing to take note of is how the electrolyzer works. So let's pause things and just take a look at it. So an electrolyzer, like any other building, has a space where all the action happens. This one, it is this top left corner. So let's just make a box around this just so we can demonstrate what's going on. When an electrolyzer produces gas, it puts it into this tile and then it spreads out. If in a Hydra-based system, what we do is we flood the electrolyzer in just such a way that the liquids is not enough to prevent the electrolyzer from working, but it is enough to prevent the gas from staying inside of the electrolyzer. And so, because it's this tile here, gases are going to try to go here, here, and here. Well, I mean, technically all the way around it, but because of that, where the gases are, I guess here would be okay too. Because there's going to be liquid in this tile, all 4 of these tiles, so it can't go down, can't go up, and it can also go to this tile. So it can't go down here because these 3 have liquid in them, and it doesn't want to stay here because this is going to have liquid in it. So what we can do to make it simple is we can create spaces here and here that have two different gases in them. And if we flood this space with oxygen and this space with hydrogen, as soon as the gas is created, instead of trying to push the liquid out of the way to make space for itself, it's going to be like, oh, I can go here because there's oxygen, or I can go here because there's hydrogen. And so that's the mechanic we're using here to make this system work. So let's delete that. And then over here, we're going to use that on a larger scale. And the reason I'm doing it such a large scale, even though I don't have a use for a huge amount of oxygen, is because I have a use for the hydrogen. So the way we're going to set this up, the electrolyzer is going to produce as much oxygen and hydrogen as it can based on the amount of water we pump into it. So if we pump a full line of water in, this system will be able to pump all of that into oxygen and hydrogen, and it'll just keep doing it forever. So what we need are 3 separate rooms. We have an area over here where there's some gas pumps. Up here there's some gas pumps, and then there's a section down here that is like a cube. And this design, I'm just throwing it together, but it is probably going to end up exactly the same as the one that's on the wiki, just because it's a really smart way to do it. So if you want to see a build for it, the wiki has a 9 electrolyzer based build that is going to be pretty similar to what I'm setting up here. So in order to do it, what we're going to do is we're going to put down the electrolyzers first. So I'm going to put one here, here, and here. Oh, that's too low. And we're building these out of gold because it's the best I have right now. And it will be fine. None of the temperatures are going to get any hotter than the gold can handle. So we're going to have these 9 electrolyzers. What we need to do is we're essentially going to be creating 2 different channels for the gases to go in. So we know we want, on each one, we want a tile here and here. So we can place those a while in our design. Oops. Wrong spot. Here and here, here and there. So I've already built a little bit of this here because I was designing it how I wanted it to go. So it doesn't matter which one of these tiles, this one and this one, is oxygen or hydrogen, as long as one of them is oxygen, one of them hydrogen, and it's condensed with enough gas that it never goes empty. So no other gas ever shows up there, or a vacuum. Because if it does, then there's a chance that when the oxygen's here, it could, if this didn't have hydrogen in it and it was a vacuum, the oxygen might, instead of going here, it might be like, oh, I'm going to go over here. And then you end up with 2 mixed tanks and it just doesn't work. So, oh, I need this one here too. I missed one. Here and here. So what we're going to do is we're going to alternate it. This side, this is oxygen. So we're going to connect all of these oxygens together. And they're actually going to be, this room is where we're going to store the oxygen. So they'll just come straight through into this room. Then I'm going to run underneath here to connect up to this row here, which will make it so that this row, the oxygen will be in the top and it will go down through this channel and out. That also means this one will have this tile as oxygen, so oxygen can go there. So then we're set with that. We can put down regular tiles here and around the back of this. The last thing we need to do is run hydrogen from this tile, and this tile up to get out, and also from here up and out. So we have hydrogen in all these and hydrogen here coming from this side. So we're going to connect those all together. And we're going to have a pipe that goes, or like a airflow tile pipe that goes up to here and goes into this room. We're going to separate these 2 rooms so that oxygen is over here and hydrogen is over here. And then I also need to put 2 tiles there because these tiles are going to have oxygen in them. So this will prevent them from mixing. And then on this side, what I want to do is I want to give this just a little more space for it to get out. So when we come up, we're going to go like this, and then we're going to leave this all open, and we're going to close this room off as well. Actually, I think I could just do, because of that, we can just put in our insulated tiles 1 row shorter, and then this will come down. So this is the design we're going to build. This is going to be a place where we can put in gas pumps to pump oxygen out. This will be where we put in hydrogen to pump out, and the hydrogen will flow up through this pipe and this pipe to get in here to fill up this room, and this room will fill it up from the oxygen from this one pipe here that we made out of airflow tiles. They'll never be able to cross. We'll keep them pressurized so that they will be oxygen and hydrogen forever, and it will work. Now, it'd be nice if we could build this and then be done, but we have a little more work to do. So this is just so that we know our layout. I'm going to remove a bunch of this building here, and we're going to work on the bottom layer first so that we can get this right. So what we need to do is we need to know that this is going to be regular blocks. So this row is finished. We're going to remove a tile above each of these rooms. We're actually going to have to remove a tile up here as well for each of these. Let's cancel this stuff here. And we're going to deconstruct this here. And what this is for is because we need to flood these rooms in a proper way. So we'll get this built out and we'll get them ready to flood it. But first we're gonna remove these just so we can get in and get this edge done. Then we'll get the room built with space for the fluids to come in, and then we'll put down the bottle emptiers that we need to make this work. While they're building this, what I need is to get access to another fluid. And right now I have 3 different fluids on this map. I have polluted water, I have water, and I have salt water. I don't want to use polluted water in this system at all because polluted water will off-gas. So let's remove these as well so we can get into the areas to build. Polluted water, there's a chance that it'll off-gas, it'll put polluted oxygen into our system, and that'll break everything. So yeah, I have no choice but to use salt and water. I already have access to water, but I don't have access to salt. And I was looking around, and the easiest way to get to it is to come down here. So I'm going to come over a little bit, and then we're going to build a ladder down right through here. And then we're going to dig over here. We'll put in a pitcher pump here. Is that 2? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that'll be fine. And then I'm gonna just put a tile here. We're gonna dig this plant. That way that'll work. And we'll put a ladder down like this to get in there and block off this tile. That way it all just kind of flows together. So when they dig down in here, they'll be able to get in and they'll be able to get to this salt water and pump it out so that we'll be ready to put salt water and water in here. So we'll get this built and we'll get that access to salt water built, and then we'll come back because I want to show you exactly the right way to do this to get it flooded correctly in the easiest possible way. I'm coming back briefly because I just noticed something that I've never seen before. I don't know when they added this, but we're approaching milestone number 100 or cycle number 100. And so this is giving me an alert, and I've never noticed that before. So I'll have to look and see when they added it, but that's pretty neat. So we're getting ready to hit cycle 100, which will be another achievement. And it's letting us know that we're about to hit cycle 100 by flashing up there. And we got some little confetti. That's pretty neat. So we got the achievement for cycle 100. I guess that's also letting us know if you don't have Carnivore by now, you better get it. I also quickly decided to change things up down here. I put a pump down here instead. I'm going to pump this salt water up out of there and put it in a bottle filler here because I just was thinking about it, and there's a way that I can do this a little bit differently because of how tight it is up here using the new bottle filler. Well, it's not that new, but for me it's new since the last time I played. And so I'm going to get salt water bottled up here instead of doing the pitcher pump. So we're just going to keep on building. I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, we've gotten our salt water and our water set up. So in here, we're going to turn this on to salt water. We're going to enable auto bottle, and we're going to set this to high priority because I want them doing this right away. So salt water is the first thing we're going to put in. And our goal is to get 100 kilograms per tile to each of these tiles down on the bottom. So because they're grabbing it from here, it should be a 200 kilogram bottle. and one of them should be enough to make it exactly what we want. So Harold's going over, he's grabbing us a saltwater bottle. Let's speed him up a little bit. And then he's going to bring it over and he's going to drop it off. And I'm doing this one at a time just because I like to make sure that they're perfectly done the way I want them to be. I then disable auto bottle after that. That way nobody goes to go get another one until I'm sure that this is right. So, oh, we have polluted oxygen there. That's what I was saying, how polluted oxygen is going to cause me trouble, and there it goes. So because there's polluted oxygen there, and this oxygen is too much pressure, it can't force it out of the way. That's why we don't want to have mixed gases in here. It's a perfect example of why. Let's deconstruct here and here to get in there and let that polluted oxygen get pushed out. Actually, no. If I do it that way, we're going to end up with even more problems. Let's deconstruct here, 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 and here. And let's do that at high priority. Construction tasks. Basically, we just need somewhere for that polluted oxygen to go to so that this salt water can spread out. While we're waiting for that, we can do the next one. We just said enable auto bottle. We set it to high priority because I want somebody to take that task on right away. And then they'll come and they'll bring us one bottle of salt water. And we can do the same on this one. Salt water, enable auto bottle, 9. So once these get filled up and we have the salt water in there, we'll move on to putting water in. But we got to fix this little bit here first. Okay, so now that that water has spread out, we can close this back up. Make sure this is not putting any more water in. You can see there's 100 kilograms of salt water on each of those tiles. And once we get this sealed up, we will be ready to go with that. This one has no pending deliveries. Otto is currently getting this one. They only have one source to get the salt water, so they can only do one at a time. But Otto is heading for the next one. And I don't think there's any more polluted oxygen in there. There is some carbon dioxide we're going to have to deal with. And that's okay. We will handle that when the time comes. So the other thing I set up here is I set up a ability for us to sweep stuff so that we can get it out of here. I just don't like leaving any debris behind. It's just mostly bugs me when I see it in there. It's not that big of a deal, but in order to make it so I can sweep things, I set up a little start on our storage room up here. I just put in an auto dispenser on sweep only with low priority, just so everything in the game has a place that it can go when I sweep it. But nobody will be heading there first if there's a better place to take it. So now they can grab the sandstone here and it will be gone out of my sight, so it's not a problem. Let's put our insulated tile back here. So this one has 100 kilograms apiece. Let's turn this off and we'll disable auto bottle so that we can set the next one. So we can set it to water and turn it back on. You see somebody's going to get a bottle of water. We can do the same here. We want water. This one we're still waiting for the salt to be delivered. So now, on this one, I'll disable auto bottle so we don't get any more, and I can show you what this looks like. And the same with this one. We don't want it to be bringing anything right now. In this room, we have 100 kilograms of water here and here. So this is done. We can deconstruct it, and we're going to cap this room off with a tile there. This one is still on water. We'll enable the auto bottle. This one will switch to water and enable auto bottle. So it's a little bit of a micromanagement, but it's worth doing it to do it right because you need to have the liquids exactly 100 kilograms of each in this room. 2 salt in the bottom, 2 water above it. Once you have that done, we can go in and we can build up our next layer. Oh, you know, I didn't put any piping at all into these rooms. So we can't quite leave here. I'm going to break these tiles just so I can get down in there. We need to have plumbing, so we're going to do some pipes that come from these. I like to do them underneath like this just to make them work. Just a little aesthetically. I don't like seeing the pipes go through rooms if I can avoid it, so I have it go like that. We also need to do power. So we're going to do one line that connects all of these up. So it'll be like that. Okay, so now they can get back down in there to do these and still be able to get in and out. And then let's do a sweep on these rooms just to make sure none of that debris stays by when they're done. And then once they're done, we'll seal it back up. We'll move up to the next room. Or the next layer of rooms. Isn't it crazy how much the hatchlings sound like machine guns when they're sleeping? I finished doing this little section here. I had to go back and make a change. When I started doing it originally, I was thinking in my head I needed 200 kilograms to fill up each tile here. It's much better to have 200 kilograms per tile. So I went back and I fixed that layer, and then I finished the second one. Oh, there's a piece of copper in there. I know it seems like overkill, but I really need to go in there and sweep that out or it'll drive me crazy. I wanted to show you what we do in here to get the water in when the spaces are tight. I could break open this tile, put up bottle emptiers and empty these in, but instead I brought bottles over. And so what we're going to do is this water we're going to empty with a high priority. This salt water we're going to empty with a high priority as well. And in order to get these bottles over here, there's a cool trick that I'm sure lots of people know, but I just realized you could do it. And that's that using the bottle fillers, you can make a bottle of any exact size you want down to the kilogram. So if I wanted a bottle that was 1 kilogram, I would just change this max to 199, and then the 1 kilogram extra would drop out as a bottle. For our purposes, I want a 200 kilogram bottle, and then I want to let this fill back up, and then we'll drop another 200 kilogram bottle to get 400, and we'll move it down to here. And then that'll give us the exact size bottle we need right there to empty out and make 200 kilogram in each tile of 200 kilograms of water in each tile and 200 kilograms of salt water in each tile, creating what we need. So I'm going to get these last two finished up. I'm going to get this piece of copper that I left in there out, which will be a pain, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then we'll cap this off, and I'm going to do some more finishing touches, and I'll come back and show you the final product, and we'll test it before the end of today's episode. We made it to another step in the process. We're finishing up our power grid, and I'll show that to you in just a minute. But in here, what we had to do was get our gases sorted. We had some polluted oxygen in here, we had some carbon dioxide in here, all kinds of mess. So we vacuumed out the hydrogen side already. So these two airflow tile vent shafts are emptied, so is the chamber that's holding the hydrogen. I've also reconnected this line back up to our hydrogen up here. I built in a block to make it so that this is just hydrogen getting pumped out, so we can just pump it all, and it'll keep coming down here, and it's going to fill this room with hydrogen. It's important that we prime it first, instead of running the electrolyzers to let them fill up, because they need to know where the gas is going to go. So we get this room filled with hydrogen, and then we set it up so it never goes empty again by using the Atmos sensor to only allow it to pump out if the level of hydrogen in here is above 250 grams, let's say. That means there will always be hydrogen in every tile in here, inside the hydrogen side, which means that when this creates hydrogen, it'll go there because it'll be hydrogen there, it'll be oxygen there, and it can't go anywhere else. We'll do the same thing on this side. Once we get this polluted oxygen pumped out, we'll fill this room with oxygen, and then we'll make sure that it stays above a certain threshold for oxygen before we turn the system on. That way, the oxygen and the hydrogen will always know where to go. So we're just finishing getting those rooms primed. I have some a liquid lock here. I'm also moving this system here down. I had those salt water here. I'm going to move it down a block. I want to put in a way to get in here to be able to do maintenance in here, and also to be able to add more gas pumps as we need them. I'll do that after, though. We don't need that working for this to work. The power system over here, I decided to throw in 9 hydrogen generators. These electrolyzers produce 112 grams per second as long as they're filled with water and power. And the goal is to have them up all the time, at least for the beginning, because we are trying to get that super sustainable achievement done, which means 9 times 112 is just over 1 kilogram per second of hydrogen that's going to be produced. So that's how much we'll be able to pull out of the system while maintaining our levels. These use just 100 grams per second. So 9 of these will be less than 9 of these by a factor of 9 times 12. So we'll have excess hydrogen being stored, but not much. We'll be able to run 9 of these, which is 7.2 kilowatts of power off the hydrogen from these. Now that requires a constant 10 kilograms per second flow of water, which we won't have right now, but we can at least do it to get started and get through the achievement that we need. As far as the power grid goes, I just have them all connected to some smart batteries. I have some automation coming from this one. So we're going to say when power goes above 90% or drops below 10%, or when power goes over 90%, turn on the hydrogen generators. Sorry, it's hard to explain it within words. When the power drops below 90%, turn on the generators until it's above 90%. Then leave them off until they got down to 10% and then kick them back on. That's how it goes. We also have an override switch on it right now. So once we have this set up and we're feeding hydrogen, it's just going to keep running until we get our power done, because our goal is to get the super sustainable achievement done as soon as possible. So we're going to burn off some hydrogen in order to get there as quickly as we possibly can. That way when we open up, we can do other power sources. So the last thing we need to do is just get this room vacuumed out and then filled back up it with oxygen. And that shouldn't be a big problem. I'm emptying this out here now. I'm also, the salt water that was down here is now gone, so I can get rid of this pump and we'll work on that. And this will be where we store salt water for the moment. I just want to get this empty. We're going to pull that out. Then we're going to bring down this tile, the insulated tile, probably all the way to this level. And then we'll come across to here and we'll put in, let's do it like this. And then, let's do it. In fact, let's do it like this. And then that way we can have an entryway in here. We'll just do this out of regular tile since it's a temporary. And then we'll put in a plumber, or actually I'm going to do this with a bottle drainer, with a vent, with a liquid pipe, and then with a hydro sensor and a cable, because I always forget to stop filling these up and end up with way too much water in them. So I can just set this to 500 and then this will just keep filling up. But that'll close this off, and we'll have to make sure that polluted oxygen is out of there before we crack this open. But that'll allow this oxygen to fill back in once this room is ready to go. So just a few more things, little tweaks to get everything all finished up. And then when we're done, we'll have oxygen and hydrogen, and we can start production by the end of this episode, and you can see how it all works. Words cannot even describe the level of struggle that is involved in getting this gas correctly. The problem is I do not have my duplicates in Atmos suits. So when they breathe, they break everything. I have some deodorizer still in here left from when I was cleaning out the polluted oxygen and things like that. I sealed the room up. I'll get them later. I'll be careful when I take them out to make sure that I get all the polluted oxygen as well. I do not want to send another dupe in there and get more carbon dioxide in. But we now have 2 rooms distinct from each other. Hydrogen room and an oxygen room. And the oxygen can flow through here, come out and fill this room up, and the hydrogen can go there. So what we need to do next is just power things up. So hopefully everything goes off without a hitch here. Let's watch the gases as they go. So these you can see these electrolyzers are now making gases. You can see them working. The gases are going in the right way. So oxygen is building up this side, hydrogen is building up in here, it's getting up here, which is creating enough hydrogen for us to get flow out, and that hydrogen is going over here to the hydrogen generators, which is going to power the system to keep the electrolyzers running. Once we get enough gas there, that or hydrogen built up there, that will turn the system on. For now, I'm going to turn this switch off because I want this to only run when we need the power while we're getting it started up, because I want to get hydrogen to build up. So we're going to let it run and get to the point where we have excess hydrogen, and then we'll just turn it on to burn it off after that. Couple other things to note in here is I put just one gas vent out. I have plans to put more gas pumps and stuff in here when we have more oxygen and things like that. And also this gas line for the main one going to the base, like the actual air inside the base, we will redirect and run it over here through this cold biome once we explore it. Another thing is currently, while we're getting started, we're running off the water here. And we don't want to do that. As we discussed before, this is cold water. It's 25 degrees. We don't want to run that in our electrolyzers because it's going to heat up to 70-degree oxygen as it goes in, no matter what. Or I think it actually comes out at 40 degrees, but it does that up until 70 degrees. So if you put in 10-degree water, you put in 70-degree water, you get out 40-degree oxygen, I think is how it works. It's been a minute since I looked at the maths on all of that. So eventually we'll get this water tapped in, and we'll run that in as the main water supply for the electrolyzer system. I'll probably tap in here, make a new line that comes in from this side. We'll deal with that later. For now, we can use some of this water just to get things rolling. You can see it's already starting to build up. We have more and more hydrogen building up very, very quickly. And the nice thing about the Hydra system is in a normal SPOM system, a self-powered oxygen machine, once we had no more need for oxygen, it would stop producing because that's the goal. In this goal, we're just producing. This room will overpressurize. We're already at 10 kilograms per tile of oxygen. Up here, it's going to keep building and building until we get to the point where we have excess hydrogen. In fact, I'm going to set this to 2K now that we have it. I just want this room to overpressurize. And then it'll just keep producing it as long as we're feeding power and water in. And so that's ideal for our situation here because these pumps will just run to generate power for us. So right now it's running because it needs the power to run these, but it's intermittently shutting off because it has enough power in the batteries. So now that we have a buildup, I'm just going to turn them on. They're just going to burn at 800 watts at 7.2 kilowatts altogether until this achievement is done, which shouldn't take long at that high of a rate. Once we do that, we can turn it back on to manage only use the hydrogen when we need it, and we'll be open to set up other power systems, which means we can do anything we want from then on out with the map. Every other achievement that we haven't done yet are all ones we can do at any particular time. There's no restraint. We could do them right away. We can do them at cycle 10,000. Doesn't matter, but we will be able to get them done. So that is the goal for today, was to get all of this finished, and I think we did a pretty decent job. It was a little hairy getting some of the things to work the way I expected them to. It's been a minute, but everything's working great. We now have oxygen being produced at a crazy rate, more than we're probably ever going to need. Hydrogen the same way, and we're burning it off fast so that we can get that super sustainable achievement done. Next episode, I'm probably going to focus on getting an Atmosuit dock up and running. In the background throughout this episode, while we had the ability to do so, I've just been queuing up research, and I have most of it done already, including everything we need for so we can get an Atmosuit dock set up and enclose this system so that we have an Atmosuit in and out system where the duplicants stay inside the base and only leave if they have an Atmosuit on, which means we'll be free to crack in and tear apart the polluted oxygen biomes, the salt biomes, the ice biomes, anything we want. I forget what these are called. They're not jungles. Maybe it's corrosive biome. I don't remember. But all of them will be able to crack them apart and start digging in as we want to, which means we can explore the map, find out where everything is, and start working on more advanced stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.